Ebal. The Tale of Two Mountains. And we'll go through a few different things, understand a little bit better about even the physical aspect and how it relates spiritually and what it is that Yahweh is saying to his people as they are traveling between these two mountains. Told you we can learn a lot from Exodus. We can learn a lot from them coming out of a place of bondage. Because guess what we're trying to do? Come out from a place of bondage. So this experience is one that as often as we can, we should be able to look toward for guidance, because it's speaking of a journey that we ourselves find ourselves on. And maybe at some point, don't know how far into the future, that we may find ourselves literally on. But until that point, we are still coming out from under the bonds of sin. We're still coming out from the bonds of captivity from our mind, where our mind has been captured in such a way, whether it's by religion or whether it's by tradition or whether it's by this westernized culture, whatever it is, we find ourselves ensnared to ways that are not of the Most High. So we need the Exodus experience to better understand that process. And so we're going to look at Mount Gerizim, Mount Ebal, and we're going to look at that, the tale of two mountains. We're going to start by reading Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 27. And we're going to start at verse 8. And we're going to go down to verse 14. So Deuteronomy 27. And we're going to go from 8 to 14. And it reads, "And you shall write all the words of this Torah on the stones, plainly and well." I reiterate, plainly and well. Verse 9, "And Moshe and the priest, the Levites, spoke to all Israel, saying, Be silent and hear, O Israel, this day you have become the people of Yahweh your Elohim. And you shall obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, and do his commands, and his laws which I command you today." And Moshe commanded the people on that day, saying, "These are to stand on Mount Gerizim, to bless the people when you have passed over the Jordan, Shimon and Levi and Yehuda and Issachar and Joseph and Benjamin. And these are to stand on Mount Ebal, to curse Reuben, Gad, and Asher, and Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali. And the Levites shall speak with a loud voice and say to all the men of Israel." And you would go on from there, and you can read that now he is beginning to pronounce what's coming from Mount Ebal. But I want to draw your attention to when we started off. What did it say? How is this Torah to be brought to us? Verse 8, "And you shall write all the words of this Torah on the stones, plainly and well." So what is it saying when it tells us plainly and well? Well, let's look at it. First, plain. It's ba'ar, which is H874 in Strong's and Brown Drivers Briggs. The Hebrew word being Beit, Aleph, Resh, Ba'ar. And it means to make plain, distinct, to make clear, to declare. Letters on a tablet. To make clear. To make clear. Does Yeshua not say, let those who have an ear to hear, let them hear? What's the requirement? Having an ear to hear. Having an ear to hear. And so the intent is for us to be able to understand clearly. So what is well? Yatab. Yatab. Yod, Tet, Beit. Yatab. And that is H3190. And it means to be good, be pleasing, be well, be glad, to do well, do thoroughly. To do thoroughly. So he's telling Moshe, listen, I want you to make this clear and be thorough. He didn't tell him to conceal it. That's actually coming later. Remember when he said to the prophet, was it Isaiah? He said, make their ears heavy so that hearing they don't hear, seeing they don't see. But that was a result of what? I put it right in your face and you disobeyed me. I made it plain and clear and it was well and thorough. And your decision was to disobey it. So now I'm going to make it so you got to find it. But this is what the Torah is supposed to be. Plain and clear to us. Plain and clear. And so let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 30. Because what we see right after we started reading here in 27 was first the curses. Everybody knows what comes after 27, Deuteronomy chapter 28. So then he goes to and begins to speak the blessings. And then later in the same chapter, the curses. Remember that this is being spoken as they are standing in between those two mountains. So Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 11 through 14. We're going to read that. And it reads, for this command which I am commanding you today is not too hard for you, nor is it far off. It is not in the heavens to say, who shall ascend into the heavens for us and bring it to us and cause us to hear it, so that we do it. Nor is it beyond the sea to say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it to us and cause us to hear it, so that we do it. For the word is very near you, in your mouth and in your heart. What? To do it. So it's thorough. It's clear. This tells us, this is all the same thing, by the way. This is Deuteronomy 30. This is all one continuous event where we see the children of Israel walking. It's called the Valley of Shechem. And they're hearing curses and blessings being pronounced. They're also being given an instruction. He says, I'm going to put both choices before you. This is where he's doing that. I'm going to put both choices before you. And then he says what? Choose life. I'm going to put death there too, but choose life. I'm going to put curses, but choose the blessings. I'm going to put disobedience there, but choose obedience. And so these are actual pictures of Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal. If you were standing in that valley between those two mountains, this would be your view. On the left, that is the picture that you would see when you look toward Mount Gerizim. There would be 6 tribes up there that are speaking and pronouncing blessings. And then you would look to the other side, the photo on the right, and that is Mount Ebal. That's what you would see. So, if we look at what this means for us, you look at Gerizim first. The word means cuttings off or rocky. Rocky. And so, if you're looking at this mountain, you can see that there's plants and greenery, grass, shrubs, and rocks. It's rocky. It's rocky. On the other side, Ebal means stone or bare mountain. So there wasn't much life on that mountain. There wasn't a whole lot of greenery and water flowing and grass growing, shrubs. Wasn't a whole lot of that. As a matter of fact, it was bare, which made it difficult to even scale. Because it's not rocky, because there's no grass, it's much harder to walk up this mountain. So even for those 6, Reuben, Gad, Asher, Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali, for those 6 who are pronouncing the curses from Mount Ebal, it was just a difficult journey to get up the mountain to be able to pronounce those curses. So when you think about it, the children of Israel are walking between these 2 mountains, and they hear and see curses, death, destruction, difficulty, bareness, lack of life, no water. But when they look on the other side, what do they see? From Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Yosef, and Benjamin, they see blessings. They see life. They see green. They see water. Streams of water flow down this mountain, which allows for the vegetation to be watered. This is what they see. They're in between. So what are they really doing at this point? Choosing. Our option to choose is a testament of Yah's real and true love for us. Our option, our choice. What does Joshua 24:15 say? Everybody is familiar with that. As for me, yep. So I'm going to read that verse. It says, and if it seems evil in your eyes to serve Yahweh, if it seems evil in your eyes to serve Yahweh, choose for yourselves this day whom you are going to serve, whether the mighty ones which your fathers served that were beyond the river, or the mighty ones of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell. But I and my house, We serve Yahweh. Now, according to the beginning of that chapter, verse 1, guess where they were at? That same valley. When Joshua spoke this, they were in that same valley. Valley of Shechem. Valley of Shechem. So let's think about this. Let's think about this choice thing. Let's think about this choice thing. We have all, at this point, with the exception of maybe a few, like they probably like this tall and shorter. We have all seen the Black Anthem movie Coming to America. Ain't that right? What was the whole thing? Whoa, they got the TV version now. They got the TV. That's the only reason our kids saw it, because they played the TV version. So it was like, we on it. They played the TV version, and we recorded it so they could finally see it. Because, yeah, we probably shouldn't have seen it as young as we saw it either. But let me tell you something. There's a real point in this movie. Like, the whole premise is, I don't want somebody who gotta love me, who know that they, are required to do what I say, whatever you like. Like, what, really? You don't even have your own brain. Like, and so what did he say? I need to find me a real queen. I'm going to Queens. I'll go to Queens. So I'm going to tell you like this. He had a good point. He had a good point. So is this something that can be proven? Can you really prove true love without loyalty? Can you really prove true love when the other option is equally as appealing? Let me repeat that. Can you really prove true love without making an alternative just as appealing? That's what temptation is. It looks better than what you got going on. So what happens? That looks better. Y'all know that saying, the grass looks greener on the other side? Yo, that is for real. Like, stand across the street, and you looking like, man, yeah. Then you go up on it, you're like, oh, ooh, mine a little better. Let me look at mine now. Well, yeah, mine better than yours. The grass always looks greener on the other side because you're looking at it in such a way that you don't see all the gaps. It's when you get up on it and get close. So in my opinion, loyalty can't even be trusted until it is tested. Can't even be trusted. I can't trust that you're loyal until you've had the opportunity not to be. And loyalty and love are hand in hand. That's why Joshua says, there's some other gods. You want to serve them? There's some other gods. There's some other gods out here. There are some other gods. So when it comes to the Most High, he gives us what? The choice not to be obedient, not to do what he says do, not to be in relationship with him. Because he can't trust that we are truly in love with him until we've had the choice not to be. He can't trust it. So that loyalty and that love can't be separated. So the question then is, who chooses? Does Yahweh choose? Does he say, well, since he spoke and said choose life, all of us don't have a choice. We just choose life. This is one of those things where if you've been in school, all of us have been. Some of us are on our way there at some point. Kind of starting to get to that point. We got a couple in here that's going to be venturing into the next season. And so here we have somebody got to make a choice. At some point, you've had at least once in your schooling where you had a teacher that said, listen, this class, I'm going to give y'all the answers to the test that's coming up. We're going to go over everything that's on the test. So be here, and if you're here for this class, then you should do good on the test. If it's math, per se, the numbers may be different or whatever. Maybe the questions are not like the exact same. You can't just copy it down. Even though I really had one of those. I had one of those happen when I was in grad school. I was like, yo, you the bomb. Like, I straight up did half my tests while we was in class and got to the test and didn't even have to write nothing. But anyway, I digress. The point is that it's on you. You were given the answers. But if you stroll in the class late or miss the class or go to the class and don't pay attention or whatever it is, you still have the opportunity to fail the test. So Yahweh does not make our choice. He simply gives us the right answer to the choice. But it's still you. So this concept of predestination that exists, this is from Oxford Dictionary. And this is, as a doctrine in Christian theology, the divine foreordering of all that will happen, especially with regard to the salvation of some and not others. It has been particularly associated with the teachings of St. Augustine, of Hippo, and of Calvin. Not me, Calvin. So here you have predestination. Your decision is made for you. Why am I going to set before you blessings and curses, death and life, tell you to choose life, and then you don't even have a choice not to? This is the official definition offered up in the Oxford Dictionary as it pertains to the Christian theology. And so, in other words, if we believe in predestination, this is what we're saying we believe. That there is a divine foreordering of all that will happen, especially with regard to salvation of some and not others. In other words, there is nothing you can do to be unsaved, and there's nothing somebody else can do to be saved. But we just read something a little different. So let's see what Matthew says about it. Because this idea of salvation, we can fast forward to the end to see what it's really talking about. So let's just read a couple of verses. We're going to read, we'll skip around just a little bit. So verse 12 and 13 first. And it says, and because of the increase in lawlessness, what? Because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. He that endures to the end shall be saved. Verse 16. Then let those who are in Yehuda flee to the mountains. Let those who are in Yehuda flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not come down to take whatever out of his house. And let him who is in the field not turn back to get his garments. So is there some choice and decision making happening there? Because he's given, again, I'm giving you two answers, two things, and I'm telling you which one to choose. I'm telling you, choose life. I'm telling you, choose to go and not come down. Choose to go and not come and try to get your stuff. He's given the answer, but who has to choose? You got to choose. So now let's skip forward to verse 37 and let's see what it says, because some people skip right here and start to begin to talk. But it says, and as the days of Noah, so also shall the coming of the son of Adam be. In the days of Noah, did they have a choice? Did they have a choice to get on that ark? He spoke for 120 years. He built a boat on land before rain ever hit the earth. He built a boat on land. And the people said, he's crazy. He gave them a choice. He told them what was coming. They had a choice. So if it says in the days of Noah, what is that telling us? You got a choice. Now, we already read back here where he said, hey, if you're on the housetop, don't come down. Hey, if you're in the field, don't go back. Go. And now let's go to verse 40 and 41, and it says, then two shall be in the field, the one is taken and the one is left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, one is taken and one is left. Why does it say that? One is taken, one is left. It's letting us know. I gave y'all the answers to the test. I told y'all to come to class on this day and take notes, and you'd do well on the test if you did that. But one of y'all still ain't going to do it. Some of y'all still going to miss class. Some of y'all still going to be late. Some of y'all still going to fail that test. That's what he's saying. Is he saying that he just zapped one out and left the other one? No. He's saying one of them was obedient and chose to do exactly what was already spoken back in where? 12 and 13. It goes all the way back there. I'm sorry, in 16 through 18. It goes back there because he's already given them. So that helps us to understand one basic thing that I know all of us really understand, which is, so is the rapture theory right or wrong? Nah, it's not. How do we know? Because there's no choice. I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Choose. And he tells you to choose life. But if you choose against him, then it goes how it goes. And so, again, we have set what two things in front of us? These blessings and these curses that are being spoken. So think about it. Yahweh tapped into so many different senses to get this across. So if you were in that number and you are the children of Israel, you are walking between those mountains in the valley of Shechem, and you see this barren land, and you hear all of these curses. Because y'all, look, let's go back there. Deuteronomy 27. Well, I mean, what's the first thing that comes out of their mouth? And the Levite shall speak with a loud voice and say to all the men of Israel, cursed is the man. So when you look at evil, you see darkness and death and hear curses. And then when you look at Gerizim, you see a land flowing with water and green and life. I bet the ones that were on that mountain had a pleasant walk up that hill, admiring the view and looking around and probably seeing the animals running around them and stuff like that. They wasn't trying to stay alive just to get up the mountain. So what happens when they walk between? They are getting that visual, the audio, it's happening all at the same time. They're seeing the life that's coming from that mountain. And so we know what we're supposed to choose. We're supposed to choose life. But what we got to understand is if we don't, the plainly and well becomes what? And all of a sudden, our eyes are so heavy we can't see. Our ears are so stopped up we can't hear. Our feet are constantly moving in the wrong direction. And what does the scripture say? You keep doing that, I'll turn you over to what? Strong delusions. You will believe what? Lies. You will believe lies. And I believe it is, let's flip there real quick. Jeremiah 16:19, I believe it is. Let me make sure. Yeah. Jeremiah 16:19 says, O Yahweh, my strength and my stronghold and my refuge, in the day of distress, the nations shall come to you from the ends of the earth and say, our fathers have inherited only lies, futility, and there is no value in them. We can't exchange this Torah for anything else. We can't exchange it for tradition. We can't exchange it for, this conspiracy or that one. We can't exchange it for this tradition or that practice, or let's stick with Torah. Because that's where the choices are made. The Torah is plain and well. Plain and well. I want to point out one quick thing, and this is more of something to keep in mind. Let me go back. So notice this. Where's Levi? Gerizim. What is Gerizim supposed to be pronouncing? Blessings. What does it say in Deuteronomy 27 and verse 14? Good, that's cool. Boom. So was Levi speaking? But wasn't he supposed to be speaking blessings? The sidebar for here is, remember that there is the tribe of Levi, according to lineage, and then there is the heads of all the houses who are called the Levites, which is why this is another example of where he says Levites, but he's not speaking to those born simply of Levi, but he's speaking of the priesthood. And that priesthood is represented in every tribe, every single tribe. That Levitical priesthood is represented because there's a firstborn. And that firstborn is a priest. And that priest So these, when he said, and the Levites shall speak, he's talking about the Levites from Reuben, Gad, Asher, Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali in this case. Those Levites are to speak these curses, because the tribe of Levi would be speaking in Deuteronomy 28, which is blessed in the city, blessed in the field, blessed when you come, blessed when you go, so on and so forth. So we have to remember that. That was just more of a sidebar. The main thing I want us to remember, keep in mind, is that the choice is ours. And we have to choose this day whom we will serve. Amen. Amen. Praise Yah.
Searching for the truth now. How could that be what they do when they speak walking away from you? Say, God have mercy, mercy on us, Gonna, everybody on the run. The definition of the fun to put 1,000 men to understand. No. God have mercy, yeah, mercy on us, Ooh, lost sheep led to the slaughter. Oh God, my Father, please have mercy on us. God have mercy, yeah, mercy on us, have mercy, Lord, mercy, Lord, mercy, Lord, mercy, Lord. God have mercy, mercy on us, Ooh, have mercy, Lord, mercy, Lord, mercy, Lord, mercy, Lord.
Right.
God have mercy.
So, yep, there's Levites in every tribe. And they would have called their leadership, all of those leaders that went and represented those houses, the fathers of the leaders of a father's house, those would have been your Levites, and they would have been representing every tribe. And so we have to just keep, that's something that it's not super obvious, so we have to keep that in mind as we're reading when you see the Levites, because sometimes it looks like it's something contradictory to what's happening, but then it's like, wait a minute,